Amy McMullen. The TRX, or Total Body Resistance Exercise Suspension Trainer, is an exercise tool that enables you to use your entire body weight as your resistance. It challenges your body, and especially your core, in ways that no seated machine in gyms can even come close to. So I'm going to show you how to set this up. Now, if you're in your home, you can use things such as door frames or supportive beams around the house as your anchor point for setting up the TRX. If you're in a gym setting, you can use a pull-up bar or bars at the top of cable machines, squat machines, or squat racks, or Smith machines. Now outside, you can use things such as fence posts, light posts, or like we're using today in the park, a tree branch. Now, you need to make sure that it's a steady surface and one that can bear your own body weight. I'm just going to throw over the suspension anchor on the top, and I'm going to clip the carabiner into the position between two of the black stitchings here at the top of the suspension anchor. Okay. Now that this is up, you're going to give it a little tug, make sure it's stable, and then I'm going to weight test it by simply grabbing the handles, kind of leaning back, making sure that it's not going anywhere. Leaves are moving, but I think I'll be okay. Next, I'm going to go through shortening the system. Now, to shorten these straps, which you may need for certain exercises, you want to place your thumb on the cam buckle in the front and press down. Other hand is going to go on the yellow strap. While you're pressing down, you're going to take your arms and pull away from each other, take them up like this. You're going to do the same thing to the other side. Thumb on the cam buckle here, press down, and pull this up, making sure both of them are even down here. Now, to lengthen the straps, you do the same thing. Both thumbs on both the cam buckles, press, and just bring down like so. Now for any exercises that you're doing on the ground where your feet are going to be suspended in the foot cradles, you want the bottom of the foot cradles at about 8 to 12 inches off the ground. So this is obviously a little bit too low, so you take it up, again, just a little bit, pressing on the buckles and pulling on the straps. This is a good length here. Now, when you are on the ground and you're going to have your toes suspended in the TRX, you're going to do it like this. This is one of the easiest ways to get it in and out of the position. Now, if you go down on the ground, take the foot cradles halfway through onto your foot, you're going to cross one leg over and then simply unwind yourself to get into any prone foot suspended positions. Now, to come out, you can either put your feet on the ground and just slide them out here. One of the next modes that you might need to be in is called the single-handed mode, and this is used for single-handed or single-foot movements or exercises. Now to do this, you're going to take one of the handles and stick it through the yellow triangle through the other side of the other handle. So going like this, then you're going to just do that again. Right handle through the left, triangle, it'll be good. Pull down nice and tight, and you're secured and ready for any exercises that need to be done there. So that takes care of the basic setup. Now, we go through a couple of the principles that you might need for training yourself or others with the TRX. One of the main ones is the vector resistance principle. Now, the vector resistance is the amount of resistance used during the TRX workout according to your body mass and the angles at which you're working. I'm going to shorten these straps just to kind of show a little bit of this. Now, with the working angles that you're going to be at, when you're leaning back like this, changing your angle allows you to change the amount of muscle force that you need for any certain exercise. Okay? So being up like this, or down like this, drastically changes the difficulty of the exercise. Simply put, the closer your feet are to the anchor point, the more difficult the exercise. Further away, the less difficult the exercise. Now, second one is your center of gravity in your body mass. So when you change that center of gravity, you're ultimately changing the lengths of the moment arms of your resistance force and your muscle force, thus increasing or decreasing the difficulty of the movement. So if I were to do a simple TRX back row in this lengthened position, that would be one range. If I were to shorten it just a little bit, pull up this way, it would be a completely different exercise. So those are just a couple of the ways that you can change the resistance using the TRX and the vector resistance principle. Another is the pendulum principle. Now, a pendulum is an object that is suspended from a position suspended from a spot other than its center of gravity. Now, when it's suspended from this point, it's free to rotate about an axis here. Now right now, when it's directly under that suspended point, it's in a state of equilibrium. Now this applies to the TRX like the vector resistance principle applies, and that you can use it as a form of progression or regression through all the exercises. Now, this applies a lot in the TRX exercises, such as the ones where your feet are suspended in the foot cradles, and the ones that are doing this are the ones that are down closer to the ground. So, in this position, when you move the TRX out of the suspended point, gravitational force is going to act on it, and it's going to result in an angular acceleration to bring it back to the state of equilibrium. Now, how you can progress or regress an exercise using that knowledge is like this. If I were laying on the ground with my foot in the cradles, and right now it's in a neutral position. If I move this in front of the neutral position, it's going to make that exercise a lot more difficult, okay? If this is in the neutral position, it's going to be a little less difficult, and if it's behind the neutral position, it's going to be a little bit even further less difficult. Or really less difficult. So from here, those are your basic couple of principles for that one. Now a couple little aspects that can also change your resistance when you're working on the TRX have to do with body resistance, or body position, and your center of gravity. I'm just going to face this way so you can kind of see. Now these have to do with your foot position while you're doing your exercises on the TRX. There's an offset foot position which can be useful while you're doing the chest press. So when you're down here, if you have a less advanced client, you can kind of use that leg to help you press up. Now when you take your legs a little bit wider than shoulder distance apart, it's a lot less demanding on the core. So when you're coming down here, you can kind of really focus on the chest area and your technique rather than trying to get everything stable. Now as we know, changing your base of support can also change the resistance of a movement. So going from a wide stance to a more narrow stance is one way of doing that. Down and up like this. Okay. Also you have single leg movements, taking one leg on, one leg off. Makes you rearrange everything in your core to kind of get going here. You have a leg down, you have a leg abducted, which really kind of throws things off, keeping that hip forward and thinking about that, really demanding on the core. Your leg in front of you, and then again, taking your leg across can really change that resistance for you. Okay, so there's that, as well as the taking the legs forward or back while you're doing a lot of the exercises. Now, a great thing about the TRX is that it really applies the use of functional movement into all your exercises. Now, functional movement is movement that we use in our everyday lives. Playing sports, doing regular activities, or simple things such as picking things up off the ground. You drop your keys or you bend down to pick up your kid. Much like a workout, you need to be using all those planes of motion and all those muscles at one time. Now, as trainers, we work with the 3 planes of motion: sagittal, frontal, and transverse planes. Now, in everyday life, since we don't move one plane at a time to do basic activities, it's not really how your workout should be either. So when you go to a gym and you sit down in a machine and you work in one plane to do your bicep curls, it's not really the best thing for your body. You're seated, you're down, your core is completely relaxed because it's not really needed, and you're only working one muscle at a time. So we say, stand up to train. Your body only knows movement and not muscle groups, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to train one muscle at a time. So that's where like TRX comes in. So when you're up and you're going,